about it. Share communication, making preparation, building the foundation. Let's talk about it. Setting up our future, bringing ourselves closer, falling in love deeper. Let's talk about it. Since we have this moment together, relationships grow better with Marriage Talk.
Well, hello, I'm Bishop Kim Brown, and we had such a ball sharing with you in the last session on the 411, knowing what the 411 is about leaving a family legacy plan, that we wanted to finish that. We felt like we would do you a disservice or not be just to you, to leave you hanging at the end of session number 1. So today, my lovely wife and I, Elder Valerie K. Brown, want to continue this dialogue, Elder, about the family life legacy. And one of the things in the last session that you said that just kind of centered all of us is that whether you are doing it intentionally or not, you are leaving your family a legacy right now.
That's correct.
And I can't tell you how many people, pastors or anyone else that I buried and they needed help getting buried and things like that. So you are so correct. We're leaving a legacy. We started talking about living like you mean it today and practicing balance and spending and investing your time with your children. None of that stuff is deep, but every now and then we need to be reminded of that. But what's so amazing is, as we got ready to leave, we were talking about in the last session, making tough choices today.
Yes.
And the reality is, if you make the tough choices today, you won't have to make the tough choices as prevalently later.
Correct.
But if you make the easy choices now, chances are you're going to have to make, one way or another, you are going to make some tough choices.
Yeah, and we talked about that as it relates to money. The investments, living beneath your means now so that you got money for later. But because we want to make sure we keep emphasizing that we're not just talking about money. And so I like to use the example of raising your children, because this always comes up as well. And I'm always an advocate for disciplining your children while they're young. Because I always say it's easier to bend a twig than it is an oak tree.
Right.
And parents wonder why they have children that talk back at them and flip it with them and all that.
Oh, I just got a revelation.
And I say, because you ain't smack them when they was 3 and 4.
I just got a revelation.
I didn't say smack them. I mean, you didn't tap them on the wrist and say, that's not nice, Johnny, or if they're, messing with things around your house or whatever, you're supposed to be teaching them at 2 and 3 and 4 what's touchable and what's not. I mean, we tend to not have a problem teaching our children to not touch the hot stove. We're quick to go over there and say, no, right? Well, that's everything in life. And if you think things that they do and say are cute at 2 and 3 years old, you've got to ask yourself, is that going to be cute when they're 10 and 12 in a public setting? Because that's when it's going to come back on you. You be somewhere and your child you let them talk to you a certain way at home. Then they talk to you a certain way in the public and people looking at you, now you embarrassed.
Right.
Well, you taught that behavior to your children. And so all of that is a part of investing in your children in terms of the type of child that you want to have when they grow older.
That really triggered something in me. Why is it that we are so adamant? You're right. We're training little Johnny or little Sally. Don't touch that stove.
Yes.
Why? Because we know it will burn them.
Correct.
Some kind of a way, many times as parents, we haven't reconciled ourselves that just like that stove burns, us not teaching them lessons over here in other areas, they're going to get burned.
They're going to get burned. Yes, they are.
We don't see the penalty over here being as defined as the stove.
That's good.
The other thing that popped in my spirit when you were saying, and this, please hear me out, when you said you can bend a sapling, you can shape a grown tree.
Okay.
But the way you shape a grown tree is with a chainsaw. And that's what happens. That's what happens. So the lessons that we don't shape in our children when they are young and bendable,
right,
they end up learning
the hard lesson.
The hard lesson when they're older,
Yes,
because
they do.
whether it's the penal system,
which we know
the
we had a
financial
judge
system, or
say
anything
that.
else,
That's right.
they're pulling out the chainsaw then.
Yeah.
So your child has bad credit because you didn't teach them as a child how to handle money
That's
when they were
correct.
bendable.
Right.
And now that they're grown and their car is on the back of the tow truck
Yep.
going down the street, that's the chainsaw.
That's correct.
They're going to learn the lesson.
Yes.
It's just a matter of whether, and we, I always say this, we are supposed to be. In family legacy, the parent is supposed to be the most defined educator
Right.
in the life of a child.
Yes.
Your child is not supposed, in fact, based upon what you taught us in the last session, you are. You are your child's biggest educator.
Yes.
It's just a matter of what you're teaching them.
That is correct.
Because even if you're not holding formal class,
That's right.
they are learning every day
What
by
you
what they
say
see you say, what they hear you say, what they
and
see you do.
That's correct.
Everything that you are doing in front of your child is a lesson.
Yes.
How
many times have we heard a child say something and we like, uh-oh, mom and daddy was talking in front of that child.
Right.
That child didn't just learn that
Absolutely.
haphazardly.
Because you see a 6-year-old that sounds like a 25-year-old. You're like, man, a 6-year-old doesn't even have language like
That's
that.
correct.
They heard that
That's
because
right.
they
In
were
the
hanging
household.
around some
Yes,
grown people.
absolutely.
Not too long ago, I was with someone, and it was some friends of mine. And we were on a golf trip. Pastor Richardson and my friends were on a golf trip. We get ready to leave, and he pulls out a piece of money and tips the lady a nice tip.
Okay.
And somebody said, man, what's up with you? He said, listen to this. He said, I learned that from KB. He calls me KB. He said, I learned that from KB. Now, this was a grown man. Mm-hmm. We always say this, Elder, and this is important in family legacy. More is caught than will ever be taught.
And it does matter who you hang around.
And it does matter who you hang around
Absolutely.
and who you allow your children to see you hanging around
Absolutely.
with. Because your children make the assumption that if you hanging around this person and they know this is who that person is, they make that assumption that
whatever
that's who
they
you
say
are,
and do is okay.
Is okay. Because you are
Absolutely.
justifying their behavior by your presence being a vote of affirmation that that's acceptable.
Yes.
The next piece is, so not only make tough choices today, but love your wife eloquently. I think it should actually say love your spouse eloquently.
Yeah.
The reason why I say that is because, once again, we're not just talking about leaving an inheritance for your children financially.
Correct.
I tell, I can honestly say this, and this is probably going to sound so self-serving for the two of us. Mm-hmm. I think whoever had married our son would have gotten a good man.
Yes.
And whoever marries our daughter would have gotten a good woman.
Yes.
Because they have seen, I'm not saying they've seen us be
Not
Lucy
perfection.
and Ricky.
Exactly.
We ain't been perfect, but they've seen, there are just certain things. We always say this. Shouldn't brag about what you supposed to do. But my son cannot tell you there was ever a day when he heard me call his mom out of her name.
Correct.
Just never heard that.
Correct.
So if that happens, he didn't learn that behavior from me. He must have
Correct.
seen that on television or somewhere, or vice versa. Mm-hmm. And watch this, ladies. This is important. This is important. What we're really teaching about legacy right now is respecting one another and the journey of one another. I can honestly say that my son cannot say he's ever heard you say anything negative about his biological dad.
Correct.
Correct. See, we don't talk about legacy from that vantage point because we always thinking leaving somebody an insurance policy and all of this.
Correct.
How you're teaching the next generation to do relationships and respect humans and things like that. He's watched me be probably a victim of racism in a store and been able to see how we have responded. Now, I'm not going to respond like it was okay and it didn't happen, but he has not seen me cuss out the man at the cash register.
Right.
He has not seen my daughter, and it's not that she's teaching only our daughter, you're teaching your children.
That's right.
But please understand how you respond to one another is leaving an inheritance for your children.
Yes.
They're going to model what they, and there's always an exception. I know somebody right there will say, well, I modeled it in front of my child. You know what? Sometimes when I hear people say, well, that's not what they saw in the house. In fact, we see this all the time, and we say this sometimes. We don't know what's going on in people's houses. Because when we see people in front of us one way, and then we see their children another way, there's a part of us that wants to say, something going on in the house. Not
maybe it's not you, but then maybe it's the spouse.
Right.
Or maybe
not
it's
something, but
something going on.
Something going on in the house.
Exactly.
Because leaving a legacy is as much about how you treat one another and respond to one another respectfully.
Yes.
Build memories that will make you smile.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit
earlier in the other session.
Yeah, it's important to just spend time with your family, and they got to have more good times than bad times. And we say that even in marriages with spouses. I mean, you got to have those love banks, love deposits. You've heard us teach that when we do marriage workshops and things like that. When I think about you, I should think about more good times that we've had together than bad times, because you're gonna have bad times.
Right.
But if you have more bad times than good times, that's a problem.
Absolutely.
And so it should be the same with your children. It doesn't mean that you've never disciplined them or that there haven't been times that they've gotten mad at you as the parents. But when they look back on their childhood as a whole, you hope that they have fond, happy memories of childhood as opposed to, I can't wait to get out of here.
And when you talk about memories, it's amazing to me. Once again, we're talking about what's the 411 with family legacy and things like that. If I was to ask, now our grandchildren have been to Disney, I'm not knocking Disney, have been to Disney, Busch Gardens, Six Flags, all those places. I challenge you, ask your small children for some of their greatest memories. And I guarantee you, it'll be things that'll amaze you. It'll be like throwing the football in the backyard. They won't.
Being in the pool, splashing in the pool.
I'm telling you, some of the simplest things.
Yep, that cost nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
I know Jackson. One of the things that Jackson says that is a memory for him. Now, obviously, he's 4 years old, so he's got a life full of memories to create. But me jumping on the trampoline thing with him at the trampoline park.
Yes.
Now, it wasn't a big dollar item. We went to the trampoline park. I wasn't jumping on the trampoline thing because I was so much trying to make a memory.
Right.
I see all these kids and I'm trying to keep my eye on my grandchild. Well, in order to keep my eye on him, he on the trampoline, I got to be jumping up and down. But he remembers jumping on the trampoline with me. He did not say all of this high dollar stuff.
Well, I was going to say, even at Christmas time, everybody's trying to get that expensive gift and things like that. Yep. But the thing that was amazing, even this past Christmas to me, KJ and even the adults, which was good, they look forward every year to a game that we play.
It's a scavenger hunt.
It really is. And the adults and the children, KJ can't wait. He's like, when are we going to play that? And I mean, no one is talking about the gifts that we gave.
You know what? When we come back in this second part of this session,
okay,
you're going to have to tell them, the
essence
high
of
level.
The game. And they love it.
Because it's not a Christmas game.
No, it's not.
It's a game that you can play with your family. Anytime.
Yes.
But I'm telling you, this game, I think she's the inventor of it, is a game, this is such a pun, a game changer. And you're right, the family has a ball. So we're going to explain that to you in the second part of this session. We want to show you and introduce you to some things and some opportunities that K.W. Brown Ministries can provide in your life. We believe it's our assignment to not just be with you this way, but to walk with you in multiple ways. Check out kwbrownministries.org. We'll be right back.
For 2 years, K.W. Brown Ministries has been working tirelessly to give you exactly what you need. You've asked for it. Tools for hope, tools for information, tools for inspiration. Stay tuned for October 9th, 2022.
All right, we're back. Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to simply show you some of the vehicles and resources, the kind of life resources that KW Brown Ministries is offering. We are so grateful that God has blessed us to be able to just be an instrument to come stand beside you and help you become all that you can be. Elder, at the end of the first part of this session, we were talking about, we're going to have to give a game a name too.
Yeah.
We're going to have to call it the Valerie or something, you know. But give us the 30,000 foot view, because this game is such a legacy memory maker.
It is. I mean, it all started, Bishop, if you remember, years and years and years ago, you know, with the kids, we would have the gifts under the Christmas tree. And, you know, they would wake up and 5 minutes after opening up the gifts, Christmas was
bored.
over. Yeah, it was over. And I'm like, there's got to be more.
Spent $500 on a PlayStation. You better be in there playing some PlayStation. You ain't bored.
Exactly. So this game really evolved over the years, because from that, if you remember, we had a Christmas where we didn't put anything under the tree. And they got really upset.
Was good too.
And the only thing they had two small gifts, and they opened the gifts, and it was some socks or something. And then it said, then we had clues, because what you did is you
gave them an envelope.
They had to open their envelopes and pull out the clue. They had to first guess what the answer was. So the clue was a gift that we had actually purchased for them. So if they guessed it right, then they had clues to where it might be, because we had hidden the gifts all over the house. So that helped to expand the day.
At least 2 hours. You know, can I get 2 hours before everything that I've spent is just exhausted?
So that was one thing we attempted to do. So all of this was in an attempt to make the day a lot fuller and more exciting for the kids. And build memories. And so they still remember that to this day. If you ask them about a Christmas, then they'll talk about this one Christmas where they thought they didn't get anything. Well, that evolved to, I don't know, I was online and I happened to see these little trinkets. And they're really like little Christmas treasure chests. And you can open them up. They're really meant for you to put like money in it for a Christmas gift. You can tie it back down and hang it on the Christmas tree. But instead, I bought a lot of those, and instead of I put money in them, in some of them, but I also would put biblical questions or questions about the family, because again, the whole idea is learning something new about the family, because we invite not only our family, but our in-laws, Keisha's mom and dad, and her sister, and now Kimberly and her fiance and his family, all of them. So the crowd is always bigger and bigger every year. So I have about 50 of these little treasure chests that I put questions in and money in it. And it'll be anything from $1, $5, $10, $50. And then I have what I call a jackpot, and we'll have $100 in it if you happen to find it. But we hide these treasure chests.
No, hold on. Okay. Hold on.
I'm not telling the whole story. Okay, go ahead.
Here's what's so amazing. So we make everybody go upstairs.
Yeah.
Adults, I mean, you got to understand.
They're excited. They got their little baskets ready to find.
Everybody has a little basket. So everybody goes upstairs while Elder and I hide these all over the first floor house.
That's
so they're
correct.
In the flower pots.
Yes.
They are, in the fireplace, up under the grate, and all this stuff. And then we finally say, okay, y'all can come down. So everybody comes down with their basket.
Running.
And here's what we did the last 2 Christmases. They set the iPhone
we might have to find that clip
on the shelf and set it to record.
Around the house.
So you see all these people running around the house,
trying to find them.
They turn up flowers and stuff, and we don't remember. Obviously, we've hidden like 50 of them, so it'll be like 10 days after Christmas. We might be walking through the house and find one up in the corner, you know, like, oh man, nobody got this one. It was over the doorpost. But the thing that makes it so neat is what you write up there will be, what was Jesus' cousin name in the Bible? And
it's not quite that hard.
Yeah, but I mean, it'll be something like that.
It's Christmas, so, you know, you need to have some biblical questions. Make sure, you know, because again, my whole point to Christianity is not about beating the Bible over somebody's head. There are ways to teach the Bible where it can be fun. Right. So these are ways that they're learning lessons about Jesus, his walk, and the Bible, but it's in the form of a question. Right. Because when they open the treasure chest, let's say they open it up and one has a $10 bill in it with a question. The question may say, who named the 12 disciples or whatever. And it'll say, if you get this
That's where I was
question
going.
right, if you get it right, you get to keep the $10.
Right.
But if you get it wrong,
Pass it to the person on your
to
right.
your right or
'Cause
your
they
left.
sit in a circle.
That's correct. It'll say the person to your left will get the opportunity to win.
answer
If
the
they
question.
answer the question right, they get the
Right.
money. If they don't, then you get to keep it. But the thing is, people tend to think when they're running around the house, they'll come back and they'll say, oh, I've won the most. You can win, have
You can have
five,
the most
20
and
of
not
them.
win the most.
Because also in some of the treasure chests, it'll say bankrupt. So you can have 20 of these treasure chests and you open up one that say bankrupt, give all of
your
boxes
treasure chest to the person on the left or the person on the right.
Oh my God, it's so hard. It's heart-wrenching when somebody
They
opens
did
that.
it. They did it to my grandson.
But
y'all.
you can also have one that says jackpot, take
all the boxes
from
of the
anybody
person.
you want. Or so it's just
But hold
different
on.
things.
KJ's grandmama,
Not me.
Miss
not me.
Sandy, got the one that said take the boxes from anybody
And
in the
KJ
circle.
had a lot
KJ
of
had a
boxes.
box with like a $50 bill
Yes,
in it.
yes.
She said, KJ, give me your boxes, baby. Give me. And KJ was crying. He was hurt. So, but the whole point of it is it builds family legacy and memories.
That is correct.
And so you don't have to do this one,
Yeah.
or you can create your own game that's closely related
Correct.
to it. But it is such a moment that builds memories.
It is.
They gonna be at Elder's funeral. Elder is
Talking
gonna
about-
be laying up there in the casket, and them grandchildren gonna be saying, "Who gonna do the game this
Yep,
year now
yep.
that my mom
Absolutely.
is gone?" And I'm gonna stand up because I'm gonna still be here. I'm gonna stand up and I'm gonna say, "Don't y'all grandchildren worry. I got all the little treasure chest boxes. I'll do it for grandma."
Correct.
Amen.
But yeah, it'll be questions like what school did Linwood go to
Right.
or whose birthday is on this date. So again, you're still trying to reinforce
Absolutely.
family memories and also biblical things.
Now,
So,
family legacy, 411. Here's a good one.
yes.
Here's a good one. Never give up. There's no ordinary family.
Whew.
I don't know who needs to hear this because let me tell you, television is television. There is no June Cleaver. There is no Ward. Some of y'all too young to even know who that is. There is no Ward Cleaver.
Well, I don't want to say there is no. I want to say that's not necessarily the average family because I know, and I'm not going to say the word prissy, but I tend to think
no,
of
that's
her
not what
as
I was
prim
talking
and
about,
proper.
right.
But there are some
No,
families
I'm
that,
talking about from a different perspective.
Okay.
Every problem that Beaver ever had worked out in 28 minutes, whatever the TV
That's
show is.
correct.
That ain't ordinary and that
No,
ain't normal.
no.
And you know it ain't normal that your son has done some of the stuff that they did and you didn't lose your cool.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, she's like, we just need to talk to the Beaver. That stuff is not ordinary. I think one of the challenges we sometimes don't leave a proper legacy with our family from is we have our own perspective of what family should be.
Yes.
And it's been shaped through our baggage, our experiences, and all this kind of stuff. And we want this picture perfect. Okay, maybe we want the family in the frame that we get from the store.
Yeah, but see, I don't want to, because, you and I have talked about this a lot. I don't want to lose the journey of striving to have a good family. See,
Oh, yeah.
I think
Right, I agree with
personally,
that.
I think we got too much dysfunction in families. And we try to make that the norm.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I'm not
No,
trying to
right,
say
right.
that everybody is Ward and Cleaver. I
Right.
get that. But I also don't want to say everybody's JJ and all these other shows where everybody's
times.
struggling, everybody cussing and fussing and
Yeah.
shooting up and
Absolutely.
all, so we
Right.
got these two extremes. And so everybody's not this and everybody's not that. But there is a middle ground that I hope everybody is striving to be.
Right.
But therein lies the problem because everybody's not necessarily striving to be what I perceive to be the functional family. Everybody, because of what
Right.
you just said, there is a lot of dysfunction
Absolutely.
or differences. Maybe
But
I should say it that way.
Dysfunction, though, I learned this.
Okay.
Dysfunction is defined by culturing. So let me give you what I mean. If I don't know anything different, however my culture has shaped me, that's functional. I don't mean doesn't mean it's right.
I agree.
Because remember when we got married,
I agree.
it was functional for us to yell and scream.
No, it was functional.
Right,
for
now,
you to yell.
right, that's what I'm saying. That's what I had seen.
And that's the problem.
So when you
And that's what
called
I'm saying,
that,
right.
when you said that
Right.
was dysfunctional,
Correct.
I'm like, no, this is not dysfunctional.
And
This is normal.
No, but see, this is the issue we always have, and that's and it goes back to even the TV shows we like to watch. Because I get mad. I used to get mad at the kids. I tried to streamline the type shows they watch because I wanted them to watch shows that moved them toward what I considered the average family of what I wanted to have. I didn't want them watching all this shoot 'em up, gang banging, cussing, fussing, because I didn't want them to think that's what a family is.
I agree. We're saying the same thing. I'm just telling you, I grew up seeing that as normal.
Right.
So when I came to our relationship, I didn't call that dysfunctional.
Right. So how do we help? And I guess the question becomes, as people watch,
it does matter who you marry, first of all, and what their cultural expectation for normalcy is.
Correct.
I mean, because there are some people that
go through life and they fine with that.
JJ and Florida and them were like, now in their defense, they were not comfortable staying there. They were always trying to get out.
Right.
But I think it's important. You've got to define.
That's correct.
Functional.
Yeah.
Because everybody's functional is not the same. And I don't want somebody to say we bougie.
That's exactly. I get
think we better than anybody else.
Correct.
Functional for me was a level of respect. But even respect can be vicarious or different. What one person says is respect, to me is disrespectful to cuss. Right. Somebody else will say cussing ain't disrespectful.
There you go.
Okay? But you're going to have to decide where the functional boundary is and shape life to achieve that.
Right.
I can tell you what I think it is, but you don't have to agree.
That's correct.
But I can tell you that sociologically, I say this all the time. Here's the problem with our society. Our society does have definitive rules. Mm-hmm. It's like playing basketball.
Right.
You can say, I don't like the size of the basketball court.
Right.
That is not going to change what Dr. Naismith drew up as the size of the basketball court.
That's right.
Just don't get mad then when you go beyond the boundary that has been established and the referee says you out of bounds.
Exactly. And that becomes life. And that for me, I guess,
is life.
Is my
and the whole functionality of life.
Correct.
So I can tell you that based upon how you carry yourself, you're going to be looked at through this lens. Correct. Now, you have the right to continue to operate that way, but don't get mad because the rules don't change.
Correct. And we heard T.D. Jakes tell us that as well.
Absolutely.
He said, what? Most African Americans, if you at least give them the rules, we can succeed.
If you level the playing field.
If you level the playing field, and we know the rules, we can take over.
Absolutely.
And so we're trying to get you to understand with legacy, learn the rules, and you don't
have to save.
Right.
You don't have to pay your bills on time. But the rules say you're going to have a higher credit score.
Correct.
If you pay your bills.
That's correct.
Which is going to give you a lower interest rate. That's the rules. Well, we're out of time, but we are not out of wisdom. We believe this session has really helped you and pushed you. Thank you for allowing us the privilege of being with you today.
And all of it is on kwbrownministries.org. You can get more.
You can go there and get so much more of this content and continue to grow your family. Peace and power.